window over here. Man, there's been an In-N-Out being built right around the corner from my house.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
It's
you're in
open
trouble.
now. It's
I'm
open now.
so
I think they
jealous.
opened last week, and I was trying not to pay attention to when it opened. Oof, it's open. So after this stream, I'm rolling through that drive-through. I'll send you guys a
What
picture.
are they? What is it? Animal style that they do
Yeah.
their French fries? Is that right?
Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that just for you, Ryan.
Oh, I got it when I was in Vegas. Don't you worry. There's an In-N-Out right on the strip. I wasn't even
I'm still
hungry.
saying, man, I'll get it just for you, my guy.
I wasn't even hungry when I was there, but I had to get it because it's the only time I've ever been to where there was one.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's pretty close to the Margaritaville.
Yeah, I think I've been to that one.
Anytime there's a Margaritaville nearby, I have to go. Like, Margaritaville is my favorite restaurant in the entire world.
Yeah, I went to the one in Nashville. Spent a lot of time there when we was down there for that Kentucky ball game. Woo!
Yeah.
That was our last
Dude,
night.
I love Margaritaville, especially whenever they start playing 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, dude, it's just
Mm-hmm.
there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
So they had like a drink called like the Ultimate Margarita or something like that, and it was like $3 cheaper than like the regular margarita, but I had like twice the alcohol and like half the sugar, so you could actually drink them and enjoy them.
I got you.
So like most margaritas are like after one of them, like you stick to your stomach from the sugar.
Right.
And I said, "I was like, this is great. I like it a lot. I'm gonna have another one." And my wife was like, "I don't know if I should have another one yet. Might as well." Well, the next day we was driving back to Cincinnati, so that's like 6 hours. When she woke up that morning, she goes, "I cannot ride in the car for that long. Can't do it. Just constantly over the
Not
toilet.
gonna be able to do it."
Just not." I was like, "Okay, well, we have to check out in 2 hours." So I was like, there was no other way about that.
We gotta figure something out.
So I go and get like 3 bottles of Pedialyte. I was like, if you can keep this down at all, we can make it. And she's able to keep that down, and then she's able to eat like 3 spoons of mashed potatoes from like Cracker Barrel. We stopped in Louisville. That was it. Is that 83 Sweets?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put a 2nd Street location in Portsmouth. They moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really hard on the wallet.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like the other stuff they have that's not cupcakes is still amazing too.
What sucks is they only make so many cupcakes a day.
Yep.
Oh, like if you get in there and they have all the cupcakes you like, you have to buy a bunch of them.
Yep.
And then, so that's our issue. I bought a dozen in there the other day, and it was like $23. I got 6 white weddings.
Yep. The best.
3 Buckeyes, and 3 double chocolates. And the damn kids keep coming through and like licking the icing off of them and don't want them anymore. So.
What's up, Nina?
There he goes. Bye, Jared. I hope you find your dad. I haven't had the chance to do that one in a long time.
What kind of loser podcast in pants, Jared?
Be right back.
Dude, it's single digits outside.
I know. I have on this long sleeve shirt and underwear. Or do I?
Yeah, I told you right back.
I'm
Oops.
back. Everybody check their Zencaster stuff.
I did. Oof. I checked Zencaster.
All right.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm good on. Oof. I'm good on Discord too.
All right. Jared, do you have your...
Yep, we're good.
All right. All right. Getting ready to start. We are live for episode 44 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is Thursday, January 20th. I am not Ryan Fox, and I am here with my fire team of Jared.
Hey, man, I just turned in all my Gambit and all my Gunsmith bounties. We'll get into that in a little bit.
And the Chronicler himself, Chad Ocero.
I am waiting to get rid of all my gunsmith parts, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later too.
Yeah, we will. And make sure if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you can take us on the road via Spotify and iTunes and other podcast services. A sincere thank you to everybody. We have broke 2,000 downloads, which is pretty wild to think about. That 2,000 times people thought, I want to listen to what these nerds have to say. So truly, we appreciate you all. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, desubscribe, resubscribe, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend requests so we can play together. And I hate to admit it this week, but DMG gave us a good TWAB. So, Jared, let us go.
All right, we're going to get into this bread he gave us. First thing that happened this week, we got like a 20-something second trailer on Twitter. I'm sure it's on YouTube too from Bungie. And basically it's Eris Morn talking to us, and she's talking to us about the throne world that is Savathun. And she says, it is the mind that must bend to see the truth here. And I think most people's minds, whenever they heard that line, is like, what? Is Mindbender coming back? Is this confirmed? The shotgun coming back? But, as we know, we've seen in that trailer before, a couple trailers before, like a Titan does some kind of move and there's this white light comes off his head. So it's kind of think of like the tinctures on the Dreaming City, how you have to consume something and then you get to see stuff. So that's kind of what the thoughts are going into Windscreen. A lot of puzzles and discoveries to go get secret triumphs and stuff like that. All right, the next thing in the TWAB here is going to talk about our power. And we just want to get everybody on the same page first with what DMG has written here, what terms for what our power is currently and going forward and everything like that. So first off, we're going to go, what is the power floor? So right now, the power floor is 1100, right? So if you pull something out of your collections, it's going to 1100. Everything in your vault, except for like maybe a few couple items that could be 0, they're all at 1100. So that's right now, that is what the floor is. The power floor is the lowest possible power a piece of gear can be that doesn't require a powerful drop. So right now, that would be 1270. The soft cap is
1260, right?
no. It's
Are you sure?
yeah. It's 50 below. It's 60 right now. It's 1360, right? No, 1330. So then 1320. Hold on, 1320. It would be the power cap, and then 1330 is the hard cap.
Yes. Yep. You're right.
Okay. So the soft cap is 1270, which is what's going on right now. Which is you need just get any drop in the game, you can get up to that light level. And then the power cap, you need powerfuls to get up to that cap, which is right now 1320. And then the hard cap, which is 1330. All right. Now, all this is going to change on Witchcoin drop. So, whenever that happens on February 22nd, everybody is going to be 1350. That's all of our gear. That is our entire vault and everything we have. If you're just picking up the game for the first time, or just coming back from maybe Vanilla D2 or Forsaken, everything's your character and our characters all will be the same at 1350 at launch. So that is going to be the power floor for Witch Queen. So after that, the next power level is the soft cap, which is 1500. So that is just like any blue drop, any chest drop, any lost sector, anything you get from a strike in the playlist reward. It's going to bump you up to 1500. Then after that, the power cap is going to be 1550. So that's what you need to your ritual rewards, doing 3 strikes, doing 3 crucible matches, stuff like that. It's going to get you there. And then that's the hard cap is going to be 1560, which those +1s and +2s come from the pinnacle activities like raids and dungeons and trials. All right,
Yeah.
so this is something that they've toyed with in the past over the last few seasons. We just like gone up by 10 power in the last couple seasons. And I remember back they talked about, they didn't set it in stone, but they just said like every season we're only going to go by 10, and then major expansions were actually going to just go up by 50, because it's kind of like a needless grind to distinguish all these power levels, which I don't know why they do. I guess this separate it so that people just can't get away with using some sunset items.
Well, do you want the optimist view or the pessimist view of what this means to me?
I want the truth.
You want the truth?
Yep.
So what worries me is that there's not a lot of content, so they're artificially inflating it by making us grind a bunch of power. That's the contrary side of me. It makes me think that they're needlessly adding all the foolishness in, so we had to spend an extra 8 to 10 hours, getting up to that cap. Going from 1350 to 1550, that getting to 1500, I don't imagine it'll be too bad. You'll probably have that by the end of the campaign. And then going from 1500 to 1550, you're going to have to be careful. So the issue is going to be just fully looking at this from a trying to be day one raid ready experience. You get powerfuls for turning in like 8 bounties for the Vanguard or for Crucible or for Gambit. And you're going to be kind of bumping up against that because you're going to be doing bounties as you're playing. So you might get your powerful before you get to the soft cap. So it might be a little bit of a balancing act, if I have to guess. I imagine that by the time the raid drops, we'll be creeping up on 1540, you would have to think. Maybe low 1540s, high 1530s. So I don't know. That's kind of how we were with Beyond Light. You know, most of us were in the high, like the higher portion, but we were roughly 12. We'll say 8 to 13 away from the power cap by the time the raid released, and that's running. That's like taking a week off of work, running 3 characters through, and everything else.
I think it's gonna be hard. They did say that they are gonna restructure powerful sources and pinnacle sources. Obviously, there's gonna be, they're gonna have to take a raid out of pinnacles because they're gonna add a raid, but that's gonna be 1 week of like 4 sources that are gone, 4 drops for pinnacles. But like Ryan said, it's one of those weird balancing acts where like you can only run 2 strikes before you have to stop. You can only run 2 games of Gambit before you got to stop. Um, and then I don't know if they're gonna add more sources, as in like there's a couple of, because on Europa there were a couple. There was the doing a master hunt. Then there was the EXO challenge, which came
Simulation.
out later simulation. So there was, I think, I want to say there was at least 3 different sources on just Europa stuff. Um, Now, hoping that the changes that we're going to talk about make things a little bit easier once you hit a soft cap. Hitting a power cap of a 50 gap is going to be something that's going to be a 2 week endeavor, I think, and they did that on purpose, making it a gap of 50 of powerfuls. Um, but I mean, you just got to play it safe. Don't listen to Zen. You got to do your drops carefully, and just get that all planned out well. And I think I remember, because last on Beyond Light, I remember that once you hit the soft cap, um, God, what was it? Crucible, the Glory playlist was actually a really good spot for a little bit to hit
Up
it.
until
But
like 2100.
yeah, but the problem was that was account based. So you can only do that like basically once per for the glory drops. Because the thing was, ranking up your glory gave you extra drops. But you can only do that once. But you do get 3 extra. I think it's you once you get to like a couple wins, you get a powerful, then a couple more, you get a powerful, and that's it for glory, right? I can't remember. I don't ever
I
play that
think
playlist.
I think it's every major rank you get a powerful drop.
Yeah.
So
So
if
yeah, that's
you're
once per.
a if you're a very skillful PvP player, you can get to the 3, 4, 5,000, 5,500 quickly. In that, you can really rank up quickly. Whereas people like myself, you know, not so much. I might get 3 or 4 of like the first major ranks, and that's kind of all that I'm going to be able to touch.
Yeah, and I mean we're keeping the Zur horse, the game show. So maybe if they make that into another thing, because that's also a powerful source too that we got right now that
It's
we
a
didn't think of. So
it's a powerful and a pinnacle.
yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so we'll just have to see what they do with the powerful drops. It is a really big gap though. They
Yeah.
inflated it on purpose for sure.
So you gotta look at what they did when Bottle Glass came out, right? So Deep Stone Crypt became a powerful drop. So most likely Deep Stone is just gonna be like a legendary drop, whatever, like pretty simple drop, basically whatever like Last Wish is now. But Vault of Glass is gonna be a powerful drop. It won't be pinnacle anymore. It will just be powerful. So basically you're doing that whenever you're 13 no, from 1500 on. So whenever you should like pick up that one and go through or something like that. It's going to be a headache to make sure you keep track of some of your blues and stuff, like the highest in each slot. Don't accidentally delete the wrong thing. It can set you back a whole power level if you delete the wrong slot. So it's part of the game. It's kind of just like doing chores and stuff. That's kind of this RNG based and kind of unnecessary just to play the game, get to the end game stuff that actually matter, right?
Yeah, and I mean we play at a different level than most people do, like commitment wise. So we'll be able to. I know we talked about maybe doing like a 2 podcast, maybe the week of release, and we'll kind of give you some anything that we run across that might be a tip or make sure you do this before you do this. Tune in, listen. We'll do something like that. I know that my goal definitely by like Sunday is to have um to be going through the story on the third character. So that is having my first 2 characters completely done and then running through on that third character. So that'll give me Tuesday and Wednesday for the first character, Thursday and Friday for the second character, and then Saturday and Sunday I plan to be working on my third character, hopefully. And you kind of have to play in the opposite. Well, without jumping ahead, we'll actually be able to start with our main character, and then going through that way. So I think what we might look to do topics wise, as we get closer to the Witch Queen, give you an idea of what we are doing as far as preparation and how we plan to attack that first week, so we are ready. So we'll make some notes and have a little more for you as it gets closer.
All right. The next thing they covered in the TWAB here is designing the economy that's in Destiny 2. So everybody has consumables in their inventory and even in their vault, and they're going to be cleaning up some of that. And you might be spending some extra time in the tower before Witch Queen comes out. So the first thing is they're going to talk about blues, also known as rare item drops. Blues will no longer drop at the end of playlist activities after you've surpassed the soft cap. So that means whenever your Witch Queen drops and you're in your 1490, you're still going to be getting blues at end of Crucible matches and the Gambit matches, end of strikes. But once you get that 1500 and those at 1501 where that they don't help you anymore, they're not going to drop. So keep that in mind. So you might get caught into a position where like your gear score is 1501 and your class item is like 1492, right? It gets left behind, right? But like the game says you're already above that, so you're not going to get blues to drop that way. But the blues are still going to drop from just enemies in general, and then like events, public events chests that can still drop from there. And then the gunsmith is going to get a change also. So he is going to get a reputation system like Zavala, Shax, and Gambit. So they didn't say what we will have to do to rank up his reputation rank, but this means gunsmith materials and weapon telemetries are going away. So if they are in your inventory on February 22nd, they will be deleted. So if you have those, I'm sure you all have thousands, tens of thousands of them. Spend them, or you're going to lose them, and they won't replace them with Glimmer or anything else. They're just going to zap them. The next consumable that's going away is mod components. They're just going to be straight up removed. If there's any mods out there that you don't have and you can purchase it, go ahead and purchase it. They're going to redo the mod system, a little bit of what the mods cost in Witch Queen. So mods will now just cost 10,000 Glimmer, and then each mod vendor will have 4 of them available to purchase instead of the 2 that they had. So that is 801 and Gunsmith. So those are great changes overall. This worries me a little bit about weapon crafting. They're like, hey, everybody's rich with all these resources, so let's get rid of all those and introduce new resources that nobody has, so they have to go grind something new for.
How do you feel about having, at least one stack of mod components of 999, if not that plus you're working on another. Are we able to? Is there anything I can do with those, or am I just? Can I just go ahead and delete them now? I mean, I have every mod, every adept mod, everything that there is. I have. Like, is there any point in holding on to? Is there any sort of currency exchange with those that I'm unaware of?
Mod components, and I'll say this right off the rip for everybody listening. I'm hoping that a lot of you already know this. But mod components serve no use besides buying mods. Now, the other thing is you only can delete them one at a time. So don't waste your time unless you have the time. Just let them be taken automatically because I have too many. I'm not gonna sit there and wait for all my mod, like holding a button down, deleting everyone one at a time. I'm not doing it. So so I recommend just waiting for them to be gone because they'll be gone. So
Yeah, nothing good about them, Fox. I mean, it's only really good for like the beginning of the season, right? Whenever they finally introduce new mods and like they're on rotation for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then after that, you just never have to use them.
What a joke! I should be able to turn those in for something, but whatever.
Yep. So with the things we just talked about, those mods that go on the Ghost that produce the weapon telemetries, those are just straight up going away also. So there's no way to produce them. And also, like, I forget what it's called in the inventory. I like rarely ever put it on, but you can pop it and it just makes more telemetry too. I'm sure that is also going away also, even though they didn't mention it.
Did they really think when Beyond Light came out that people were going to do that? Like, surely there had to be like somebody that's like, come on, guys, what a waste of time. I mean, why would you not use like Guiding Light, which we're going to lose all those too, aren't we? All those XP bonus mods,
only the maximum one. The
the
highest level
12%
one
one or whatever.
is gone, but the one right below that is always there.
So, pro tip: make sure you have that equipped before you cash in all your bounties on this 22nd. So,
yeah. So the next thing's going to be happening in Tower is to Banshee's neighbor, Rahul. So a few TWABs ago, we've mentioned how the old spider is going away, and that Rahul's going to be taking his place with material change out. So that's like legendary shards or glimmer for planetary materials. He's also going to get the ability to decrypt umbral engrams, and you can also purchase prisms and shards for him for their allotted prices of a prism is 10 enhancement cores, 25 planet materials, and then 10,000 glimmer. And then the shard is the same thing. It has been 10 prisms, 100 plant materials, and then 50,000 glimmer. So yeah, Rahul's just going to keep you some time. You don't got to bounce around Tango Shore. You don't got to go to the helm to decrypt the engram. You can just do it right there in the tower. All right. There's been some talk about how the Hawkmoon and Deadman's Tale quest is going away. So Bungie has an answer for that. Xur is going to be selling a random roll of each every weekend he's there. So if you're still hunting for that Vorpal roll or rangefinder Hawkmoon, or if you're just wanting opening shot, whatever it is, and you don't get one in time, well, you still have hope. And then also, if you just didn't play those seasons, you're going to have the ability to go purchase that. But it's going to be for a hefty price. I think it's probably going to be the most expensive gun to straight buy from a vendor in the history of Destiny. And that's going to be 1 Descendant Shard, 1 Exotic Cipher, 125,000 Glimmer, and 200 Legendary Shards.
That's a lot, but you get to see the roll before you get it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I'm not too upset about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I finally got a Vorpal roll. It is like a very mediocre Vorpal roll. It doesn't have, I wish it had like ricochet rounds or whatever on it. you know, but if he ever comes up with one there that's better than the one I have, I'll definitely buy it. And I'll be very happy because I love that gun. That gun feels awesome. I wish I would have had the catalyst done and had a better roll of it before it got nerfed. But man, that is a fun gun. I really, really, really like it.
Yeah, I've come to despise it along with Last Word. I just kind of just the people using it. I was like, really? That's what you've chose to do. You just chosen chosen to be angry today and do that
I
to
mean,
the community.
would you rather me use a hand? Would you rather me use palindrome adept and a shotgun?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that price seems fair. The only thing, like, you might have a decision to make one week, like maybe like both of them have an amazing roll, and I don't think you can grind the exotic cipher like 2 in one weekend. It's one account based, right?
If you're holding one, you can then go into an old, like you can use that one, go into an old season pass and pull the one out of it.
Okay.
But I mean, that's like a one and one time only thing, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're holding one, and maybe you have the next one that you can grind for, or that's probably going to be in the season pass again, for Witch Queen.
And doesn't Zur give you a quest each week to get one, like 21 playlist activities?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I don't think that quest is per character. I think it's per account.
Right. So you can't get 2 in 1 week, but if you already have one,
Yeah.
I think you can use it and then acquire a second one.
Okay.
But you definitely cannot have 2 at one time.
Yeah. All right. The next thing about exotics, Dead Man's Tale, which a lot of people just say DMT, and then Hawkman have like catalysts that are tied to those activities, and that's not the only exotic that's happened that way. So they're bringing a lot of exotic catalysts out and adding them to playlist activity drops. So that's Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit. So that's for Hawkmoon, DMT, Aegir's Scepter, Outbreak Perfected, Whisper of the Worm, and Fourth Horseman are all getting their catalysts put into the game, into those playlists for people to go and get. I know a lot of
Does
people
anybody remember
asking for those.
with Fourth Horseman? How did you have to get that initially? I have it, but I don't remember how I got it.
That's when they introduced the legendary Lost Sectors in Season of the Worthy, I believe. Yeah, it was worthy because you could buy the Rasputin machine for like so many like glamour while you're inside of it and turn it on. And there's only one of the Lost Sectors that would drop it on. So you had to run that same one over and over again when it was on the daily rotation.
Okay. Because the other ones I remember you had to do like the heroic version of the secret mission essentially in order to get the catalyst for the others.
Yeah. So they've all been changed to be able to be completed in the world they're all today. There's no, like, for Whisper, there's no go open all these chests and inside the Whisper mission and do all that kind of stuff. So, all right. Finally, the date has been set. March 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's at 10 a.m. West Coast, Chad. The day one race begins for Witch Queen. We called it here. I think we all came in agreement. It's like that's the date they have to do it on, right? That's the formula they followed for Beyond Light. That's the formula they followed for Vault of Glass. Just made a lot of sense, didn't it?
Yeah, I put that PTO in a month ago. I'm like, it's got to be this day again. I know it's going to be that Saturday. So I put that in a while ago. So yeah, I mean, it was last year. And like we said before, I mean, I know I said this before, but they had the most engagement of any day one raid ever. And it's not because Destiny's been out for a while and there's more players playing it. No, it's because it was on a Saturday, 2 weeks after, which meant more people were up to level. And because there were more people up to level, that means more people can actually watch it. And on a Saturday, there's more people lounging about. It's not like a Friday where it's people at work. People that play like us couldn't watch. If we're not playing it, we're watching it. And if those people are at work and don't get the paid time off to be playing on Friday, like they're busy. So it just makes sense. And like we said this last year when we're like to each other, we're like, dude, the second Saturday is the best choice before we even played it on a Saturday. It makes sense. It's great. I'm glad they made the same choice. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can't wait for that to happen. It's gonna be a fun time in the community. I think it's whenever like Destiny is number one in the Twitch directory is on the day one race. And it's pretty great how like Destiny does have that one day a year or sometimes 2 days a year where it's number one in the gaming community kinda as people watching it.
The only part that sucks is where we participate, we don't get a watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I kind of miss, but it's fun running it. I mean, we have a 0.000001% chance of ever getting world first, but I just want that emblem, baby. And we've been so stinking close, man. It's frustrating, but I think this is the year. This is the season. It's going to happen. So looking forward to it. And then I'll just watch YouTube all the next day of everybody else's runs and go from there.
Oh yeah. So another thing that happened this week was Destiny 2 hotfix 3.4.0.3. So there's a couple of little things that they fixed here. So like the dungeon grasp avarice and the ogre encounter, like he's already in there shooting at the fallen. I actually got it one time where you can see him climb over the wall and like to start the encounter. So you're actually going to get that consistently now, instead of what is just automatically already there firing at the fallen. So a lot of people had some crashes in Gambit. Gambit's already frustrating enough trying to get through those matches or whatever. And if you was doing the finisher, you might have just straight crashed your game because you was just trying to do a finisher inside of Gambit. And a lot of time, the Drifter has the bounty, do 5 finishers inside of Gambit. So people just crashing and getting booted out of the game. Apparently it's something else that's not listed here, but like there's some kind of effect that was going on with colorblind settings, or I'm not sure exactly what it is, but if you're one of those people, I know they know about the issue, so they reverted something back and they're trying to improve something else going forward. Not sure what happened to that end, what they're doing, but they know of the issue and they're trying to get that fixed as fast as possible. All right, going towards the end of the TWAB, they had a little thing about bounties. And, anytime they say anything about bounties right before the next season start, everybody ears perked up because usually everybody's like started stacking or about to start stacking bounties. So the first thing they talk about is Iron Banner bounties, and they're saying that they will not be removed at the end of the season. They will remain in effect when Witch Queen releases, as long as you have them and completed them. They noticed that like even though like the bounty says it's just going to drop a pinnacle gear, but because the bounty came from season 15, it's only going to drop something at level 1350. So no extra pinnacle that you got saved up going into next season. That's not the way that's going to work.
Do you believe them?
Yeah, I do. It's worked out that way.
They say that, but then they'll say, and then magically you'll open one up and it'll be like one of the new Iron Banner weapons or something. So we'll see. I'm sure maybe the power level thing will be, but it might be nice. We might get a sweet new weapon or something.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's the way it's worked every season so far, is that you had a chance to get one of the weapons. Like the past, I think the last 3 or 4 season changes, it's happened every time. You always see like a couple guys, YouTubers, like put out a weapon review on the weapon that they got before the Iron Banner even came out, and that's how they did that. There's one more final note about Iron Banner bounties. Season 16, that's the first season of Witch Queen, will be the last season for it. Starting in season 17, Lord Salatin will be getting a rework to like how Zavala and Shaxx is, to where he has a reputation. And so it's probably a much needed change. The Iron Banner is probably going to be some pretty cool stuff. The rework going on there. Probably be able to focus some engrams in some way or target loot farm. So stuff like how Saint 14 does. All right, we got some more
Yeah,
bounties.
I'm hoping for a Saint
Yeah.
rework. That would make the most sense.
They didn't mention anything about tokens, so we'll see if those will have to spend all those in season 16. I'd probably say yeah, it's probably going to happen, but we'll find out. All season of the Hunt, Chosen, and Splice are lost bounties. So that's the last 4 seasons. They're all going away when Witch Queen launches too. So like a Splicer bounty of killing hobgoblins in a corrupted mission, that's going away. So you can't take those into next season. Also, this is the same way for the Tangled Shore. I know Chad's been grinding out those bounties trying to get some kind of emblem so you can complete some badge book or whatever for the 8 gems and then go battle and try to catch Mewtwo or something. I don't know. And then also some daily bounties are also going to be deactivated or taken away depending on what their reward and objective is. So they put an example in here that some Drifter and Gunsmith bounties are being looked at alongside the vendor rework. So to me, I'm not taking a chance on any Drifter or Gunsmith bounties. I'm just turning them all in and just not taking any of those into next season. Now, I understand that, like, maybe you just want to chance it because you don't want to grind out 8 Drifter bounties in Gambit whenever it's a week of new content. I totally understand that. You're just going to chance it, taking those in. But for me, I'm just not taking those Drifter bounties in. I'll just grind Gambit out for a couple extra games to get the bounties done.
What are you looking? Because I mean, that's 14 bounties, right? So 7 Gunsmith and 7 Gambit bounties. So what are you looking at replacing those with?
Just some dailies from some other planets like EDZ, Cosmodrome, Europa. Just not doing repeatables because they don't give you quite as much XP.
You just have to do the weeklies from like the Cosmodrome and then like the dailies. So you're just gonna look for more Europa, Nessus, those type of things.
Yep, exactly. And then like I'm only gonna want 60 on each character. Like that way, it gives you 3 slots for whenever you load in, right? Just in case, because like usually the first mission gives you some kind of quest, and like, what if they give you like there's like bugs day 1, all kinds of them. It happens, and like if you didn't have room for it, and then like it doesn't go to the postmaster, you're kind of screwed until they get a hot fix out for it, right? So I don't want to be in that kind of situation, so I'm gonna like keep 3 slots on all 3 characters like cleared.
Yeah, and don't forget that you can delete the Splicer Gauntlet, the season of the Chosen one, the Hammer. You can delete all those, and those will give you slots open as well. So if you're already maxed out right now and you're like, darn it, I'm already done, you can delete those because their part in the helm is going to be gone. So just you don't want to need them. They're going to auto delete, but you need the space now.
There's one I can't delete. I think it's the Battlegrounds one. Like if you don't have that quest done, you can't delete that quest.
We'll just do it.
Nah. Not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, those Battlegrounds coming to the Strike playlist is gonna be that might be the next Corrupted. Whenever you load into a Battleground, you just load into the next Strike.
They're pretty fast though. If you know what you're doing, they're fast.
I don't think they're that fast. Not compared to some of the other strikes,
Oh.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for the TWAB. Next week, Hippie's gonna be taking back the reins, and let's go. We're gonna see what she has in store for us. Um, all right, we'll quickly go into what we did in Destiny this week, and probably not a lot went on. I think
Oh, I did.
at this time of the this season, it's either like you're grinding for some like maybe a couple things in particular, or bounty stacking. And so Fox, what did you get into?
So after the podcast Thursday night, Friday morning, I had to call out of work, and then I had to take a COVID test. So long story short, I also had to call off Monday. I was negative for COVID, am negative for COVID. So I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. So I watched a lot of football. I got to watch my Wildcats play on Saturday. And other than that, you could have found me in the Dares of Eternity playlist. I think I put about 35 or 40 runs in on there. I finally got that damn purple sword on there. So that was nice to get. I got Eager Edge, Whirlwind Blade, Jagged, and one of the good blocks. So if I don't get another one, I'll be satisfied with that. I wish I would have got, was it Vorpal that rolls with that? I wish I would have got that, but it's all good. I can live with what I have. I got to rank 16, so I unlocked the catalyst for the Forerunner. I was able to get the ship. I was able to get the Sparrow and the Ghost. And then I hopped into the Presage mission, and I finally got that Vorpal roll, got that DMT catalyst wrapped up, and I did all four bounties on all three characters in Iron Banner. So I had a pretty productive week of Destiny. So I've got my Warlock. I think I'm at like 55 out of 63, something like that. Bounty wise, Titan and Hunter are somewhere in the 40s. So I got a little more work, but nothing too crazy on those. So I've basically I've accomplished everything that I want, other than getting a very nice I'm not going to be able to think of the name of the sniper from Vault of Glass, Praetor's Revenge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the god roll of that on the adept version is kind of the only thing that's still out there for me to chase this season. I got all my catalyst, or not catalyst, all of the titles, the MMXXI, Realm Walker. I've got maybe one more triumph to get the Deadeye, the orange version of that. So I'm almost done with the season. Other than that the master vault, in order to try to get a better Praetus.
Yeah. So, Fox brought up that Praetus, and I LFG'd one, a Master Atheon, and that was the smoothest two-phase Atheon I've ever had in my life on Master. And it's probably just the fact that like this late in the season, everybody is 1350 plus. I was 1358 at the time, and I was particle deconstruction and sleepers just make things so stupidly easy right now. But I got the 5 out of 5 Godwall Praetus. That's Arrowhead Break, Tac Mag, rewind rounds, high impact reserves, and a reload masterwork. It's great to have it, and I'll probably like maybe use it in maybe one raid encounter, and then like something else will come up as long as like a better DPS option, and it's just gonna sit there. But at least I'll have it. And then I also got back into Master Grasp of Avarice, and I got some of the Artifice armor to drop. I actually got a couple decent rolls for the first time. Like Chad, I know me and you's been through this. I think Fox has been through it too. But like, you get 50s to drop in that encounter sometimes with the boss and all that stuff. It's kind of, I know they did it on purpose because how easily farmable dungeons are, because you can keep loaded back into the boss and doing it over and over again. But still, like, getting 55 stat wall armor piece to drop from that's kind of really bad, and hopefully they fix that going forward.
Yeah, no, I got a 58 stat piece roll, and I was just sitting there like, how is this possible? Like, you do a corrupted, and it's from my experience, for me, like, it was a minimum of 63 on the corrupted, the ones from Season of the Spicer.
Yep.
And yeah, like, those are 62 and up was my experience. From like, someone else told me they got a 62, but I was very consistently getting 65s, like, across the board, just getting 65s over and over. And the fact that I could get anything even below 60, whether it's a 59 or a 58, is just ridiculous. I understand that it's farmable, but so is the corrupted stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you could do that in 3 minutes solo. 3 minutes.
Yep.
No danger of dying. No danger of having to restart.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a stat armor of 62 and up.
Yep.
All, like, consistently.
Yeah.
It's not all the time, because you can get a weapon, but there's some good weapons there too.
Mm-hmm.
So it it just cracks me up. I don't think that shouldn't happen. But on a different note, going back to this original question, I logged in on Tuesday. I got my free 700 Bright Dust. And then I went to play Legend of Zelda. I mean, like Ryan was saying, all those things he was saying that he did over this last weekend, I did over the last couple seasons, because I keep up on everything, and I don't just do the things I like. I grind out all the stuff that I need to do so that I don't have to do it later. Um, so all of those, like, seals, I get the seals immediately as soon as they're available, so that I don't have to do it again. Um, all the weapons, all the DMT drops. I got lucky enough to get it pretty quickly, a Vorpal drop, and I'm like, cool, I'm good. No, I've done this solo flawless. I've done that for that, and I'm fine. So I don't really have much to do besides random triumph hunting. And like Jared said, I'm doing those random bounties to try to get a single, like, I'm just collecting stamps at this point. It's useless, but, like, maybe I'll get that emblem eventually. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But, like, just hit Tangled Shore, do 12 bounties, and then leave. That's it.
I forgot to mention in mine, I did do a divinity run for multiple people in the clan. We got like 4 people divinity this week in one run. Man, sleeper with particle deconstruction makes that raid so easy. And I have found that people that have played that raid 0 or 1 time are much easier to Sherpa than people that are experienced, because they're more willing to listen and don't think, oh, we have to do it this way or this way. And like, even like the final boss was fairly scuffed, but we still killed it in 2 phases. The first boss that you fight, we killed in 1 phase with sweepers. So I mean, it is. If you've ever struggled in that raid, try to get back in there these last couple weeks, because it's not near as hard as you remember it to be.
Yeah, and then bows have an anti-barrier, so you have a kinetic bow in there that it's got some pretty cool rolls, and then Reckless Oracle and auto rifle. It's probably my favorite energy auto rifle. It's probably Reckless Oracle. I don't know what it is about that 720 frame and something special about Reckless Oracle. It just feels better to me than the other auto rifles in the slot. It's just right up there with Gnawing Hunger for me. It's just like, I hate that both of them were void. I wish one of them was a different flavor, but yeah, those two really get me going. All right. So, Fox, we got something special going on for Gambling Corner this time, right?
Yeah. So I messaged both of you in our group chat and I said, hey, nobody spend your weapon parts yet. Um, let's do something to see who can get the best roll, and that person will win the gambling corner. And of course, Jared's already went through and spent all of his weapon parts. So I think I have 40,000. Chad, do you remember how many you had? What'd you tell me? 70 or 80?
I have just over 70, I think. I'll have to double check, but I think that's the number.
So what we've decided to do is see who can build the best loadout between Chad and myself. And we can only use weapons that we get from turning in our weapon parts. We have to stream while we're turning our parts in. We'll do it at different times or whatever. I'll stream me doing mine. Chad will stream him doing
That
his.
no, we don't. We didn't talk
Oh,
about
I'm
this
streaming
beforehand.
it.
I'm not streaming me sitting for 6.5 hours doing this turn
I'll,
in.
I'll stream mine so you know mine's legit. So we probably know that
That's
Chad's
fine.
already going to
Also,
cheat on
the
his.
word loadout is not being used. It's just who can get the 3 best guns in each slot. Because a loadout's very different. Like I could get sniper, and then like a grenade launcher, and I wouldn't consider that amazing. And then you just getting 3 more diverse, better guns, and then I would consider that a better loadout. So it's just who gets the best gun in each slot.
So
That's
scrolling back up, I see it literally says from Jared, I will be the judge. You two create a loadout of the rolls you get, and I will declare a winner. All 3 slots.
Yeah, it's a complete package. It's like
That was at
that's
2:26 p.m. today.
yep.
Or that
I'm
would
losing.
be
I'm losing
11.
100% then if that's part of it.
So just
So,
things to remember
Chad,
though.
so
Since
keep in mind, I have 40,000 weapon parts. Chad has nearly double my weapon parts. So
And
Chad has an advantage.
and I
And
also I've gotten that many weapon parts, but how many more god rolls do you have than me?
well, it has to be just from this. It
No, I
has
know.
to be just from
I'm
this.
just saying overall in weapons legendary RNG. I'm putting that one out there because I will lose 100%. No, sorry, I'll lower that. 85% I will lose.
So we will do this, and the winner between Chad and myself gets to pick a punishment similar to like the gambit punishment that we did before. And we'll probably do something to where that person gets to pick the loadouts of the other two or whatever it is. We'll hash something out, but that's kind of where we are currently. I'll stream mine because I'm not a coward whenever I turn my weapon parts in. And Chad can keep track of his. I trust Chad, so we'll use his as the honor system for that. So, Jared, did I miss
You'll know it's
anything?
mine if there's not a god roll in sight.
so like as a loadout, you're playing the entire game with it. By the way,
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I think of as loadout.
yeah.
Is
So
what I would want to take into everything of content.
if you give me double primary, you're gonna lose.
I know.
This okay?
I know, and
All right.
I'm just saying that the only good guns I'm gonna get are not gonna be loadout worthy.
Chad, you're getting
They're
them.
not.
This is
No, I'm not. Don't do we do
Chad.
that?
This is what's gonna happen.
Don't be giving them false hope.
You've been building up good RNG for so long. You're about to blow it all now, just in time before Witch Queen drops, and then you're gonna have terrible RNG for all of Witch Queen because you blow it all on these 70,000 weapon parts.
That's the world I someday hope to live in.
You already live in that world, my friend.
All right, Chad. It's time for some lore, and we got some business going on with Clovis again, right?
Yeah, we're still going through his personal logs. He didn't get super dark yet, but we do know that he is a crazy, and he has invited our our good friend Elsie Bray to the establishment. Um, but he's gotten in contact with Clarity, or the statue that we saw, and so it started off at entry 5. It says, "Disaster at the worksite. Clearly, we will not be moving Clarity Control like we did with the K1 artifact. It reacted violently to the attempt. I have entered 19 casualties into the log since 19 engineers from the Hanu team were caught in its reaction, though there were many more than 19 bodies found when it was finished. I have sequestered at the recordings, especially the sensorium telemetry, quite upsetting. Yet I do not believe it was an act of hostility. Even this outburst carried themes of duplication, as if Clarity Control wanted to show it could help me. It whispers to me. I have been communicating with it just as I did the K1 artifact." So obviously the K1 artifact, like Jared brought up earlier, is the anomaly map cube, the cube in the middle. That's the anomaly that the Chinese and Elsie, I believe it was, actually moved to that location to study. Um, that is the anomaly that led to being on Europa. It told him to go to Europa. Um, so he says if we are endangered by Clarity Control, it is only through accident or miscommunication or punishment. Punishment is a key part of any teaching process. Still, I am cleanly aware that there might be some danger I cannot foresee. So I have been ordered an orbital platform constructed over the worksite. If we need catastrophic containment or a quick and thorough redaction of our work here, the platform will excuse itself from orbit and collide with the site. So this, in this book, which came with the Legendary Edition, which some people got early and got access to, gave us a hint on the raid, which we only find now, obviously looking back in time, saying a orbital platform that can excuse itself from orbit and collide with the site. What happens in the raid? We take the orbiting platform and we drop nukes into it in order to drop it from orbit onto the deep zone crypt. Now we circumvent it a little bit and we make it drop not in a way that would totally destroy the crypt so that we can still use it. And he even says that anything that happens because you don't destroy the crypt is going to be your fault. He says it in the raid. Um, so moving on from there, he sends a message to Elizabeth Bray, and he actually gets one back finally. And she says, "Fine, I'm coming, if only to limit the damage you can cause. If you tell the family I'm sick, I'll never speak to you again. I won't even let you treat me. You'll have to watch helpless as your own granddaughter falls victim to your mistakes. I hope you still welcome someone capable of being troubled by that." So he moves on to another entry, and he's doing more research, and he says, "A gate, of course. Clarity Control is inviting me to make a gate. The messenger hypothesis. Aliens would seek the most efficient method of interstellar contact. Starships are slow, fragile, and massive. It is easier to send a set of instructions for a message receiver or a construction blueprint for a portal." So he's explaining the hypothesis that the fastest method of travel is teleportation. And if you want to make direct contact with a civilization, send them the schematics to build a gate in order to connect the two worlds. So he believes that the artifact, the Clarity Control, has actually told him to build a gate. Now he hypothesizes, well, the only things that we know that make a gate in our solar system are the Vex. So maybe those guys can help me make a gate. So he says, if I need a Vex gate to fulfill Clarity's Control's purpose, then I will make a Vex gate in the simplest way. I will have a Vex build it for me. So he knows where to find it. He knows that they're on Venus. He knows that the Ishtar Collective is researching the Vex. So he has to if he can't make contact with them and have them give them one of their own free will, he's gonna take it by force. He is Clovis Bray after all. So in entry 6, he says the raid on Ishtar Collective went flawlessly. Some casualties during the outbreak, of course. They were woefully unprepared for their artifacts to switch it to expand and exploit behavior. Necessary sacrifices. Alas, they died meaningful deaths for a vital human project, even if they didn't know it. Heroes, every one. So after murdering a lot of researchers in the Ishtar Collective, he calls them heroes for dying. Um, Yeah, I don't think many regular human beings would say that about people they murdered in their advancement, what they believe is advancement of society, but he does. Um, and he talks a little bit more about what the Vex are going to do, what he believes that the gate shares common structure with clarity, but the gate that it's making is much more Vex like than he expects. It doesn't share as much common architecture with what he believes clarity has. Um, but he's still hopeful that it will make what he needs. Um, Now he has another dream, and he dreams about him being controlling a little, what I'll say is a garden. And he basically diverts little rivulets of water and tries to make a little pond in the middle. And while doing so, the little insect communities around the river that he diverts basically takes away their water, come to complain to him, and he says, "Well, go to the pond. There's a bigger amount of water and you can grow." And after he creates a huge society around this pond of water, he ends up wanting to destroy it with a god wave. Once he creates these little insects that make a community around this water that he led them to, he ends up wanting to destroy them with the God Wave. It may sound a little bit familiar from the Hive stories we just read. The God Wave is what happened to the Hive's homeworld and destroyed most of the stuff that was there. So it shows parallels to something that the darkness has done before. Um, so after that dream, he says, "We must finish this gate." So he says, "First, I promise I won't conduct any brain scans. If we're ultimately going to transubstantiate you, we'll wait until I'm certain the exobodies are safe." So this is in his letter to Elsie. He's giving her as much needed assistance or confirmations that he has changed, and he's there to help her. But he says, "I will vow to obtain your full consent." We know that he tried transplanting his son into an exo body, but obviously he wasn't even close to this far along in the research, and so he just ripped himself apart. And that was her dad. So he's trying to assure her that he won't do the same thing to her because she also has the same disease they have, and that they're gonna die from. So he sets up an itinerary, tells her what they're gonna do as soon as she lands, and gets her ready, but also tells her there's a couple places that are just for me and are off limits. Don't even try going there. You will not succeed. So he moves on from there, and they actually finish the gate and head in. And he says the probe imagery did not prepare us. A curtain of blue violet fire filled an entire half of the sky, pebbled with granules, seething with premonitories and flares. We stood beneath a blue hypergiant, a titan of suns looming over all. It should have killed my human bodied companions instantly. With peak radiance and a far ultraviolet, it would cook flesh. But the probe said it was impossibly safe for life. So they head around out after passing through this gate. They head around the rock that they're on, trying to figure out what's going on. And one of the scientists is doing some just some real scans on the rock there. And he said, "I don't see any iron, no heavy metals at all. A lot more sodium, oxygen, boron, and aluminum than I'd expect. A lot less silicon. Wait, my God, what?" "The rock is almost 13 billion years old," the geologist whispers. "It formed with the very first generation of planets, less than a billion years after the universe was born. We're standing on a desiccated piece of one of the first worlds." "That's not possible," the astronomer protested. "That's a Type Zero hypergiant up there. They're lucky to live 2 million years, and its metallicity is 15 sigma above average. That is not an old star." So they look, and Clovis thinks something has tampered with this star. Our physicists identified a lensing effect, magnifying the star's optical size and redshifting its radiation. It was as if the whole behemoth was wrapped in some skin. Our instruments identified glints of brighter light against the sunfire. They were orbiting mirror clusters, gathering the star's radiation and focusing it back, burning wounds in the photosphere. Above these curtain mirrors, rings encircled the star like wires. They were particle accelerators, generating blades of electromagnetic force that stabbed into the skin. They're stirring it to pull the metals out of the core and send fresh hydrogen into the core. They had refueled the star and were stoking it. taking away heavy metals that cause destruction in stars and adding more hydrogen to expand its life. So, in fact, they were basically farming this star, taking out materials that they could use and that the star would use to implode, but in doing so, keeping it from doing that supernova that it was bound to do. So, they had been um, basically farming this star since it formed in the very beginnings of the universe. And he looks around and sees a bunch of bronze discs swarming around. And he said, years ago, I had proposed tearing apart Mercury to form a shell like this, but this is this is my ambition achieved a thousandfold. The Vex have realized a place in a world. They have made this little system basically just to create material for themselves for billions and billions of years. Now, we do know that the Vex can travel through time, so they probably created this tech, went back, found this hypergiant, and then basically set up a farming station on it. And they're there. So he says he hopes that he could meet the Clarity, but instead he found an engineering museum. But they could explore it for thousands of years and not touch a single percent of its wonder. But Clarity promised me a solution, and I had promised Elizabeth a cure. I need to find this solvent and seed for my exobodies. So he thinks maybe the Vex are the key. So he's like, Sundaresh, we need to bring back samples. So they get some of the Vex milk and bring it back. They find out that it's a fluid like anything else, a little bit hazardous, but it's an alkaline solution, like just alkaline solution, salts range, sodium, calcium, stuff like that. But there's little protozoa kind of things in there, tiny beings, geometric in shape, but they work like computers. So that's the little Vex mines in the Vex milk. So that's one of the things that when you start drinking Vex milk, they start taking over your system, and you just turn into a Vex. That's what does it. So he's trying to think of a way in order to stop this from happening because he wants to use it in the Exos. But he thinks maybe if I exert this onto Clarity and let it do its thing, will it work? Exposed to Clarity, maybe the Vex patterns will break down and the fluid taken on the properties of Clarity itself. He introduces a tiny bit of it to Clarity, and it solves the exomind loop billboard crash cycle. So he found his alkahest, his solvent that'll fix all of his problems supposedly. So he does a first test. Someone, Mr. Zook. He says, "Fear not, Mr. Zook will never mistreat the beginning of something so wonderful. You will be the first of many that shall march out of this European factory and sweep away every conformity, every disease, every loss, until all humanity rests in the loving permanence of my exobodies. And all the future will look on me in humble gratitude." So after they do a workup on Elizabeth, they find out that the disease that is killing him and killed her dad, well, led to the death of her dad, is actually activated in her. So he says, without treatment, you got 15 months. With therapy, 5 or 6 years, but you'll be mostly under anesthesia and under. Says he never wanted to hurt his grandchildren. Grandkids have always been my favorite. Do you remember the old Clovis Bay contract I showed you? We want your grandchildren. My collaborators could keep the rights to their inventions, but Braytech would own the unexpected combinations of those inventions. Grandchildren are unexpected creations. Wonderful. Imagine how many possibilities grandchildren could have produced. And out of all these possibilities, I got you, the finest of them all. I owe you salvation. I couldn't give your father. Please consider making a terminal scan and decanting your mind into an immortal exobody. I plan to do myself soon. So Elizabeth says, I don't trust you. You made the same promises to my father, didn't you? I won't put myself in one of your human form torture dolls until you can prove it's safe. And even then, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be a part of your Luca dream. Stop trying that rhubarb compote recipe right. You serve it at every dinner wanting for me to say it's like grandma made it. It's pathetic. And you wonder why I'd rather eat with the crew. A little stab in there. But it's whatever. So he keeps on doing more experiments, trying to figure out what's going on, because apparently Mr. Zook ripped himself apart still, even with the alkahest. He's finding out Miss Sundaresh is behaving erratic. One moment she's flirting with him, the next she's like ice, telling him to shut up. She's just flopping back and forth across all of these kinds of things. Um, and and then he gets into another thing, and he says that talking about Mr. Zook, he says things have been made worse without the satisfaction of the motor feedback because he has to turn off Mr. Zook. He actually just turns himself off. He fully dies. But his brain is still on and functioning in the exobody. He just can't feel anything. And he writes in the diary, I have just died. I am trapped in the corpse. Now I am certain I am dead. Death has taken me completely. I have just finished dying. And he just keeps writing that over and over. So his alkahest isn't working correctly, and he's still trying to figure it out. But he says, no matter, I can always get the original fire from Mr. Zook and start over. The memories he's made over the last couple weeks with Mr. Zook don't really matter too much, but he will be sad to miss his friend. And then he goes back to Sundaresh and says, she seemed fascinated by my distress. She said several comforting things and then made one extremely unpleasant suggestion that my pride and haste had caused Mr. Zook's death. I have decided to hate her. And then he ends it there. Now I'm debating if I want to get into the secret journal that we had decoded doing I think it was an ARG that Bungie had set up for his secret journal. It goes into much more description on what happens after this with Sundaresh, with him and Elsie, because he ends this journal before we move into the stranger body, before she becomes an exo. So he hasn't fully created a truly working exo as of the end of this journal. But he's I wish he had more dialogue when you went to go meet his giant head, because there's so much he could talk about, and he loves talking about himself. So I wish they had just like a couple hours worth of voice lines for him to talk. I just want to hear him talk about things, no matter how crazy he is.
Yeah, I think
Status calamitous.
they're keeping that in their back pocket, Chad. They're not. I don't think they're done with it yet.
No, they're not. He's got a lot of story there. The Deep Stone's still there. I'm hoping that, like you said before, there's a dungeon in there somewhere.
Yep. There's a Cade 5,
It'd be Cade 0.
Flash. Well, I mean, depends
because
where
he'd
you got
start over
reset
from
it.
the original.
Okay.
I'm coming home, Ace.
Yeah, we gotta turn somebody like into an exo. Maybe like Amanda Holiday or something like.
Zavala.
Well, he's a
Big
guardian.
Red.
You have to get somebody that's
poo-poo?
not a guardian.
Oh, you're talking about humans still.
Yeah, human.
Hawthorne.
I mean, every single person that's ever been an exo is logged in that database. The one where you fight the not the architect, the engineer. Each one of those is a memory file for a human that was hoping to live forever. So there's any exo that we've ever seen that's died, their original human file is in there somewhere. So there's a lot. I mean, the only person they couldn't bring back would be Fellwinter, because Rasputin made him. So his file isn't there. Him and 801 are the only two exos that don't exist in that file system at all.
Oh man, I can't wait till we unlock more. All right, Fox, it's time to look back to our past and some more history of Bungie you got for us.
Yeah, so full disclosure, this is probably the shortest history of Bungie, but next week will probably be the longest history of Bungie. So last week we talked about Halo 3 and how it is the greatest game that has ever been made in the history of the planet. But this week we have to move on. Halo 3, I love you from deep within my heart. So in order to achieve independence and break away from Poppy Microsoft, Bungie was still on the hook for 2 more Halo games. One of these games was going to be Halo 4, and the other was going to be the Peter Jackson game that was eventually canceled. Remember we talked about Joe Staten going to help with Peter Jackson because he got in an argument with Marcus Leto, and then Staten comes back. Staten is the the godfather of like the Halo storyline would probably be the easiest way to describe that. So now Bungie's looking Halo 4, which eventually becomes Halo Reach, is looking to be like 2 to 3 years out. So Bungie's like, hey, we got 1 year. What can we make in a year in between these, the release of Halo 3 and this game? Get it out in between so we fulfill our requirement of 2 games. So they don't want to create a whole new engine and a whole new game. So they decide that they are going to do Halo 3 ODST. So in Halo 3 ODST, the city takes the main stage. It is a noir story, so it's kind of like the 60s, 70s detective type thing. If you ever played LA Noir from Rockstar, kind of puts you in that mindset. And they're Marty O'Donnell and his boy, what's his name? Michael Salvatore or whatever. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I should have looked that up. Sorry. They get back in the studio and do like 6 hours of like a jazz music. And let me just tell you, this like story mode was probably one of the best things Bungie's ever put together. So you kind of are going around a city at night and you find like you might find a sniper rifle, and that once you find that, that keys you into that mission. You're kind of following a team of 6 ODST. One of them is Buck, who comes along more in like the Halo 4. And Chad, help me out here. What were those like extra missions on Halo 4 that you could do? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Um, oh gosh, it's escaping me because I didn't really get into that one.
Right. So, long story short, Nathan Fillion was the voice actor, and they did the model off of him. He's been in a bunch of big games. He plays the character Buck. Buck is actually in other Halo games. He's the leader of this team, and you play the rookie in all of the missions. I want to say there's like 6-ish missions that you play in here. Each one in the cityscape, you find like an artifact there, and once you excuse me, inspect the artifact, it starts that mission and you play it. I really enjoyed it. Most people say that it is the greatest like campaign that Bungie releases. The game also releases with a disc of the Halo 3 multiplayer that includes all of the DLC packs and also a brand new DLC pack. This game also launches with the Vidmaster achievements that you could do, and it puts some of the Vidmaster achievements in the multiplayer to where you could unlock the Recon armor set. This game also has a new multiplayer mode called Firefight, which I believe is still one of the coolest things that Bungie has ever done. It is inspired off of the original Halo Combat Evolved mission, the third mission of that game called Truth and Reconciliation. If you remember in that mission, it's the mission that starts out at night and you are sniping and you go through and you make it to a grav lift. And once you kill all the enemies, you go up into the grav lift and you're inside the ship, and then you are in like a little arena with elites and other enemies coming out of multiple doors from multiple viewpoints. So that is kind of what inspired the Firefight mode. There were not quite 10 maps, maybe 8 maps that launched with Firefight. And it was like up to a 4-player co-op activity. You could also play it single player. And you had to, in order for the achievements, I remember you had to get a score, get like score marks on all of these maps. In my opinion, it is the greatest wave, like game type other than maybe the Horde mode from Gears of War, but it's kind of in that vein. Whenever this game came out, it launched with a collector's edition that had a Halo 3 ODST controller packaged in with the game that cost $100. The game by itself cost $60. Some people complained because there it was only half a game. People like to say because it was only the campaign with like 3 extra multiplayer maps. But the value, in my opinion, was totally worth it. So while the smaller Bungie team was working on ODST, the rest of the Bungie team was working on quote unquote Halo 4, eventually became known as Halo Reach. The team wanted to be able to work on a narrative that wasn't reliant on the Master Chief or any other part of the Halo trilogy, so they decided to make a prequel. I'm sure several of you know that there was a book called The Fall of Reach that was like a Halo novel that discussed basically the Covenant glassed the planet of Reach. So you knew that Reach was a planet that was destroyed. So anybody with moderate knowledge of the Bungie / Halo universe knew that this game could only end in one way. Spoiler alert. But it is an incredible story of 6 Spartans, and I don't want to give the end away, but it is definitely a very, very, very good single player / co-op experience. The multiplayer was not my personal favorite. A lot of people really liked it. I remember like the sniper rifle feeling really good. The BR, DMR, all those weapons, they felt good, but it just didn't have the maps, in my opinion, that the memorable maps that the original 3 games of the trilogy had. A lot of the people were working on Project Tiger at this time. Project Tiger, spoiler alert, ended up being Destiny. So when this game released, it came out to great reviews. It had a 91 overall on Metacritic. Most people really liked this game. I remember being in college and going and getting it at the midnight release at the local GameStop. Great game, not my favorite. A lot of people had issues with like the armor lock and those things. I kind of like the armor lock. I had more issues with the jetpack and those things. Do you guys remember Halo Reach coming out? And if so, what are your memories of that game?
I do, like, compared to Reach and ODST, like I remember Reach way more than ODST. Whatever, like I understand what you said there about how like people really like enjoyed the 6 mission campaign or something of it, but that's the one I remember the absolute least about, and I didn't really enjoy ODST. But Reach, man, I think that campaign is one of the ones I remember the most out of the Halo series.
Yep. I mean, it's Reach has easily one of the most memorable campaigns of any game I've ever played. And the biggest reason for that is the ending. And the way it goes down. But it's ODST is weird for a lot of people because it's like semi open world where the more missions you do if you're going around a path, because it's kind of a path, but you can still kind of veer off. The more missions you do, the more open you open up, so you can research more stuff. And I loved ODST because of the firefight mode. I remember I think I did one of the maps. I did like a almost a 9-hour firefight run one day. It was monstrous. I loved it. It was great. I just the last 5 hours was me being like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I don't have any more lives. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And then I kill everything, and then get my life back, and then die some stupid way, and then I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And it was five anxious and stressful hours, but it was so much fun.
Man,
But Reach,
I remember like punishing my friends because there was an achievement tied to
Yeah,
each
there
level
was.
to get like 200,000 or something, whatever the score was, and like making my buddies sit there. There was one other friend that was real into like gamer score and achievements like I was. So the two of us would sit and just punish our other buddies that were there in order to get those scores. Because if I recall, it was like 2 or 3 hours of playing on like
Yeah.
legendary difficulty to get like that threshold of a score. So yeah, it was fun. Um, I drank a lot of beer playing Halo Reach because we were old enough to where we could have fake IDs to buy the beer, and we were in school, so I missed a lot of class and drank a lot of beer playing Halo Reach. So that's one of my memories of Halo Reach.
Yeah, I truly believe that that Halo Reach storyline has to be in Destiny 2 at some point. The way Destiny 2 is going to end for me, that would
Yeah,
just
it'd
be
be a good
awesome.
way for it to move on to the
Man,
next part of Destiny. Like it's
you're
same
probably
universe,
right, but
but
that'd be
like it would be an
sad.
awesome way to end it. It would be so
Man,
great.
I would.
You
That'd be
anybody that
so
hasn't
sad.
played that game needs to play it. Just
Yeah,
the
and
campaign. You
and
don't even need to do
you
anything
could
else.
you could play it on Master Chief Collection,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is on Game Pass. So like for literally, if you've never subscribed to Game Pass, you can get in there for like 3 months for $1 or something silly like that. Totally worth it just for that game. If no other, and that's not counting all the other games that come with Game Pass, but that is an excellent reason. And I think it's like $9.99 on Steam if you buy just Halo Reach or something. It's not a big entry, not a big price to get in, but definitely worth playing.
All right. It is time for the mailbag. Next week we'll be getting into the Destiny 1 part of history of Bungie. Um, First question here is, what kind of marketing push are you expecting from Bungie for Witch Queen? We talked about a little bit in the pre-show. They've been pretty active on Twitter and YouTube, posting some 20 and 30-second trailers here or there. I just wonder if they're going to ante up and pay some of these content creators to come back, or like content creators to check out Destiny that hasn't really ever really played it. Are they going to go after
Yeah,
like a big name like Ninja?
right. Get like you kind of alluded to earlier, Jared. This is like raid day and like new expansion. This is the time that Destiny kind of has the most eyes on it as far as like a Twitch directory. And we've seen other games such as like Apex Legends, that a lot of their marketing is built around paying the content creators to play the game and get it in front of their audiences. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of these people, um, make a kind of a big push. I don't know who it would be. Ninja was a really good shout out by you. Um, Knowing Bungie, it might even be some of like the female content creators that they kind of use to do that with. So I don't know a lot of the big email content creators, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's who they kind of target.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting them because they kind of do it a little bit minimally, where they try to get some people in, and I know that some of the streamers that do have friends that are streaming that do other games, kind of try to bring people in on their own because they're like, hey man, I play this game and it's really fun. Like I'd like to have you play it with me. Um, and it is hard with a game as grindy as this because you got to spend a lot of time on it, and as a streamer you do have time, but you want to do what makes the most money. So they are going to have to give some money to some people that are big names, but they think might continue to play the game, whether it's like only on the weekends, like they get just to level so they can play trials and that's it. or like they get people that like just get in and get raids and do raids with some people and that's it. Like it's hard, but I think I don't know a lot about streamers, but they have plenty of people that can look into it and kind of target specific people, being like, hey, we like the games you play. If you want to try Destiny, we'll send out some stuff. We'll give you a bunch of this, and this, and then we'll give out some codes so you can give out to some of your people, your subscribers. And I think that's something that they are going to have to put the research in before they do it, so that they get a little bit more engagement. But I'm expecting it. I just don't know. I just don't know who they're going to target.
Yeah. I guess the other thing part of marketing is commercials, and one of the things I haven't seen in Destiny in a long time was a commercial just like on TV. I think it's like it was probably Forsaken was the last time I seen a commercial on TV. But like Fox, you talked about watching football last weekend, but like I seen an Apex commercial, I seen a Call of Duty commercial. You see some mobile games commercials every now and then, but like I haven't seen Destiny on
And
a TV commercial in a long time.
you gotta treat it like a Lamborghini. Lamborghini owners don't watch TV, so they don't make commercials. Like you're playing Destiny,
Okay.
you're playing Destiny, or I guess watching sports if you're these guys, and a bunch of other. But I mean,
My
I'm on things where I do not pay. I pay to not get commercials put at me. The only thing that has commercials is YouTube, and I already get Destiny commercials in that because I'm obviously targeted for what I watch.
Yeah.
I hope they do random like commercials like on like sports channels, because lots of guys that play sports play video games too. It's just a thing. Like if you're targeting a male market, sports channels, um, maybe sci-fi channel, because all the shows on there.
Yeah.
I don't know where else to target. Maybe Animal Planet. I don't know. There's kids on there that might play games and want to play it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see a TV commercial too. It'd be fun.
we're probably a little bit early for commercials, because we're still 5.5 weeks out.
I think we're 32 days.
So yeah,
Oof,
so
we're getting
you're
into
gonna
the
be
month
looking.
territory.
Yeah.
You're gonna be looking at like 2 weeks out is where you're gonna kind of start seeing that.
Yeah.
Think about any big movie that releases or anything. You don't see a commercial a month and a half before it releases. So they kind of want to hit that closer to time. So hopefully they have. It would be cool to see a Super Bowl commercial for.
Oh
which
yeah.
quarter?
February, huh? That's right. That happens in
Yeah,
that month.
yeah. So just something to think about. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2. I assume this is in regards to Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard. The question says, is Xbox becoming the evil empire? If so, is Bungie our only hope, or is there another?
They're just pulling a Disney, my guy.
Yeah. So the news is for $68 billion, Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard. It doesn't go into effect until it can be anywhere from June of this year until May of next year. I want to say, because it has to be that fiscal year. So realistically, it won't go into effect until for 9 to 12 months from now. What they purchased, they got it all. They got all the IP, which includes Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, World of Warcraft. What's the other? StarCraft,
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush, the like the King, like
Yeah,
that.
King. Yeah.
Company. Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, Guitar Hero. So a plethora of things, multiple studios, including Vicarious Visions, High Moon, Treyarch. I mean, just all the Blizzard studios. Toys for Bob was another one of the big things. So, Poppy Phil goes out. Everybody starts talking their shit about everything in regards to Microsoft and Xbox not having any games. So they go out and first they buy ZeniMax, which of course has Bethesda Studios, and then they go out and buy this. And I mean, it was whenever Jared sent that out in the group text that day, I was like, oh my God, they just bought Call of Duty. Think about all the shooters that Microsoft has first party now. They have Halo, Gears of War, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Doom. I mean, it's crazy. So wow. That's kind of all I can say is wow. As far as Call of Duty goes, if I had to guess, Warzone will stay multiplat on PlayStation, everything it's already on, but Call of Duty proper, so the campaign and the multiplayer and zombies, all that probably at the bare minimum goes to Game Pass and is $70 on PlayStation, or it becomes exclusive. And if it goes that way, if it stays $70 on PlayStation, getting those Game Pass subscribers, which we learned like the current Game Pass subscription was like, what was it, like 25 million? I saw from the stuff. The last we heard, it was 18 million. So it's going up. It's not like they bought this in order to keep because the subs were falling to Game Pass. They are up and they bought this. So Game Pass is sustainable. Is it possible we ever see Game Pass on the PlayStation platform? I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but PlayStation has their own version of Game Pass coming this year that's already been kind of leaked out. So I have said a lot and I've taken probably every talking point away from the other two. So I will shut up and let them do their thing.
Just remember that like a couple of the other big studios have kind of partnered up with Xbox already. That's EA and Ubisoft. They're kind of coming to Game Pass adjacent as like little add-ons and stuff too. So they are like acquiring assets and like they're forming the Infinity Gauntlet, and like Sony's like sitting back like, I mean, we have Spider-Man, but what else do they really got? I don't know.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Sony's probably going to go after what I've seen and heard and read is Square and Konami are kind of like the major things for Sony, which is going to suck because I love Final Fantasy. And I think at Square, which they've already locked up exclusivity on FF16, which just breaks my heart. So if they get Square, then they'll end up with like Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy, and then they'll have like that Final Fantasy MMO that way. Konami, they're pretty much buying Metal Gear, Contra, Double Dragon. I mean, there's a bunch of Konami games. You guys know all those. So that's kind of, and Capcom was another one. So like the Mega Man. But I mean, what if Microsoft just goes out and buys Nintendo at this point? Nintendo was, their market cap for Nintendo was less than the market cap for Activision. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen those numbers floating around. It just kind of tells you what the beast of World of Warcraft and like Call of Duty alone, just those two, bring to the table compared to like everything else in the industry. We was just a few years away from Bungie being back under Microsoft umbrella again.
Yeah.
Xbox might be coming like the evil empire, but yeah, they just like, hey, just give us $10 or $15 a month, and we don't care what you play.
Which I mean, we all know they're not in the console selling business. They're in the subscription business at this point. So we are 2 years away from a Roku stick or Amazon Fire dongle type thing that allows you to do xCloud. You just plug it into your TV into an HDMI port, and then it picks up. You buy the dongle and the controller for $50 or $60, and then you're playing all the Game Pass games that way.
Are you just talking about
We're getting close
Stadia?
to that, right? Well, I mean, this
It's
would
just
be, you know,
Stadia, isn't it?
Microsoft has xCloud, which is already included in the Game Pass Ultimate, and xCloud uses um the Series X as like the processor, you know, like the machine it uses is a Series X. So, you know, using that, they sell the dongle, and then, you know, for $50, you're invested in the Microsoft ecosystem. You don't even have to buy a console. Plus, they turn all the Xbox Ones and the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X's, they just run an app at this point, and then they're streaming all the stuff through xCloud that is higher fidelity, so they don't even have to upgrade their console. So, I mean, I think that's the future of. I think that's Microsoft's end game, but they had to build up Game Pass in order to get to that point, which they've done which they've already done.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they got all the assets, and they're definitely putting pressure on the rest of the industry to where, you know, maybe we see, you know, more of these AAA studios fall under one of the two umbrellas, and like maybe places like Bungie's harder to stay independent. Like you kind of have to choose a side eventually at one point. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. All right. Question 3. What are you trying to wrap up prior to Witch Queen?
I kind of answered this already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, gotta get those bounties stacked. Gotta get a couple more. Uh, like I said, that Praetor's Revenge. I'm kind of looking for, and I'll keep running that Presage, trying to get a better DMT.
The Artifice armor for me, I want, you know, I will be on Warlock day 1 raid for the most part, unless something's absolutely cracked for Titan or Hunter with Void 3.0. Just to have those extra mod slots everywhere for the artifact mods. I think that's the play going forward. How they're making these builds more and more dependent on matching the same thing over and over again with mods, with like go all solo, all void stuff. Having the extra mod slots, like to throw like extra like reload on, and then the anti-champion mods, and usually a cheap ammo finder too that goes on in the season artifact that plays into whatever they're kind of buffing up that season. I really think their armor is going to be really, really helpful for day 1 clear.
Yeah, Artifice armor is it for me too. Nothing else. I've already done everything else essentially.
All right, question 4. Clovis versus Rasputin. Whose side would you be on in a fight?
Well, he's already proven that he can escape from Rasputin, based off of the journal I just read. On his raid on Ishtar Collective, he got out of there, and then he blamed Rasputin for it, or he made it look like it was his fault. But Rasputin also has a guardian on his side now.
Yeah.
Clovis don't.
Rasputin is a
So
lot
it's a tough
older
sell.
than Clovis too, right?
No, he was made by the Braves.
Yeah.
So I mean, Clovis probably only has like 60 years on him, but
Okay.
Clovis has also been hidden on Europa, while Rasputin's been researching for these past couple hundred years since he was created.
Well,
Versus, like, Clovis didn't even know about the Fallen at all, so he didn't know what was invading the Deepstone Crypt whatsoever.
that's like
So
Lamau, like you fell off plus ratio, right? Response to Clovis that he didn't even know about the Fallen, right? That's
yeah,
like, yeah. So I'm taking Rasputin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And like
Rasputin all day.
he,
He likes classical music.
Yeah.
and he gives you Sleeper, right? Didn't he give us Sleeper? So like
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Question number 5. What does your raid team construction look like? So first of all, RIP Shifty. Thank you for your service.
Rest in peace, sweet
But
prince.
it's uh, if I had to guess, we're going to be looking like 3 warlocks, 2 titans, and a hunter. What are you guys thinking?
yeah.
Preferably 3-3 warlocks and titans, but
I don't know. I think Void 3.0 was I think this really going to give a buff to hunters and PvE in some way. I think that how they're setting up the 3 phases of Void, I really think hunters are going to be able to debuff stuff quite easily. That's really going to be helpful. Especially if
All right.
Galahorn's the meta.
yeah, rockets.
Right.
Just
All right. I think that's all the mailbag. Jared, were there any other questions that we missed?
No, nothing I see.
All right. So make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Subscribe, click the bell, all that foolishness on the YouTube. Make sure you take us with us on the road for your commutes on Spotify, iTunes, and all other podcast services. And I'm going to let these other 2 sign off.
Oh yeah, I can't. I'm so excited for Witch Queen. We'll take it a week at a time, a TWAB at a time till we get there.
yeah, I'm definitely excited to hear about the changes that they're going to be making, stuff like that. They've already teased that there are Gambit and Iron Banner related things in the pipeline, so that's well needed for sure. So I'm glad that they're looking at stuff. Even if they're not going to talk about it, I'm happy that things are changing.